There's quite a lot of material in the Bible that's simply not safe for work, and which is never included in any children's Bible. Trigger warning. This video contains discussions of sex, domestic violence, prostitution, masturbation, and cover-ups. It's truly a story about sex, power, and money. About 3,500 years ago, there lived a man named Judah. Now, he was one of Israel's 12 sons. Judah and his wife had 3 sons of their own, Onan, and Shelah. According to the customs of that time, Judah arranged a marriage between his firstborn son, and a young woman named Tamar. However, was a real jerk, and the Lord put him to death. Now, besides Judah having lost a son, it was a major problem in ancient Israel if a man like died without any sons. In Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 through 10, however, a solution is presented: levirate marriage. Levir is the Latin word for brother-in-law. So, when a man died without having any children, his brother was expected to marry the widow in order to produce children on the behalf of his deceased brother. This firstborn son would be counted as the child of the dead brother. That's why Judah expected his second son, Onan, to marry Tamar and to produce children in Er's name. But Onan didn't want to have anything to do with this, and he refused to fulfill his duty as a brother-in-law, withdrawing every time he slept with Tamar. Okay, so now it's time for a weird language detour.
Oy vey!
Onan and this story have given their name to the word for masturbation in a long list of European languages, including Swedish, Danish, Norwegian, French, Greek, German, and many more. Even though it actually has nothing at all to do with masturbation. Well, okay, maybe it does, but we just don't want to think too much about the details. But I wonder what Onan would say if he had known that his name would be associated with a sexual act that isn't even in the story. I mean, like if Ray Bakerism in the year 5520 AD involved some sort of a sexual practice that was completely unknown to me. And spoiler alert, Onan gets killed for doing it. Okay, back to the story. Let's follow the money for a moment. According to ancient Jewish rules, Judah's wealth would be divided into 4 parts at his death. The oldest son, would receive 2 parts, or 50% of the inheritance, because he was the firstborn. Onan and Shelah, the 2 younger boys, would each receive 25%. So when died without children, the financial prospects of Onan and Shelah changed. Now Judah's estate would be divided into 3 parts. Instead of 25%, Onan would now receive 66%, but only if had no sons to inherit him. Fulfilling the duty of the brother-in-law would therefore mean that Onan would lose a lot of money. Onan, who would now enjoy the privileged position of being firstborn, had absolutely no financial interest in providing his deceased brother with an heir, and thereby weakening his own financial position. Talk about a conflict of interest. But we need to understand a bit about Judah's backstory in order to see how this story fits into the Bible's overarching narrative. Many years earlier, when Judah and his 11 brothers were teenagers and young adults, there was a brother named Joseph. Joseph was their father Jacob's favorite son, even though he was not the oldest. The brothers hated Joseph and planned to kill him. Judah then saw an opportunity to make some money and sold his brother Joseph to some Midianites, who then in turn sold him as a slave to Egypt. After that, they lied to their father and said that a wild animal had killed Joseph. Fast forward about 20 years, and the Bible tells us that the brothers were haunted by guilt. Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us." Judah was at this point in some kind of downward spiral mentally and spiritually. And of course, we must not forget the widow Tamar in the midst of all this. Her marriage to Er was, by all appearances, unhappy. It was an arranged marriage, and Er was so wicked that the Lord put him to death. Now, we're not given any details in the story, but you can easily imagine what kind of violence Tamar must have been subjected to. It was probably actually a relief to her when Er died, but that relief didn't last long. Onan exploited her for his own pleasure without fulfilling his duty towards her. Tamar was powerless to do anything about Onan's deception. Well, in any case, when Onan refused to fulfill his duty as a brother-in-law, he also died. Judah may have even thought that some kind of curse rested on Tamar, since both of her husbands suddenly died, even though we know that at least Er was a real jerk. Judah sent Tamar back to her father under the pretense that she should wait there until the youngest son, Shelah, was old enough to marry her. Judah eventually became a widower. He apparently had no intention of keeping his promise to Tamar or giving his youngest son, Shelah, to her in marriage. Then something really sordid happens. Judah is traveling, and Tamar knows this. And by now she realized that Judah has no intentions of keeping his promises towards her. And she therefore disguises herself as a prostitute. And she meets Judah. And Judah goes in to sleep with her. And he promises to pay a young goat for her sexual services. Well, Tamar asks for a pledge as a security until she gets paid. So Judah gives her his staff and a signet ring. Now, we may think that it's wrong for Judah to buy sexual services from a woman he believed was a prostitute. And that's true. There's simply no excuse for his behavior. But at the same time, we can also wonder, what on earth was Tamar thinking? I mean, disguising herself as a prostitute and sleeping with her father-in-law? That's just gross. According to ancient Hittite and Assyrian laws, we know that a widow had the right to have children with her father-in-law in her deceased husband's name if there were no brothers, or if the brother-in-law refused. Now, this is not stated explicitly in the Bible, but based on Tamar's actions here, the same must have also applied among the ancient Hebrews. Tamar was only demanding what was actually her legal right as a widow. When Judah later sent this young goat as payment for these sexual services, there was no prostitute there. And eventually it becomes clear that Tamar is pregnant. Judah understands nothing. He believes that she has committed sexual immorality with someone else. Now, here we really see Judah's hypocrisy and his double standards. He went to a prostitute, but now he demands that his daughter-in-law, Tamar, be put to death because she slept with someone that she was not married to. Was he really that stupid? Or did he suspect that something was fishy? Or was he just using this as a pretext to try and get rid of her? In any case, Tamar exposes Judah's hypocrisy when she produces the signet ring and the staff that belonged to her, the father of her child. When the truth is revealed and Judah is exposed, he's something very remarkable. She is more righteous than I. Judah's confession is a clear sign that Tamar's actions were not about revenge. He understood that something deeper and nobler motivated her. And by doing what she did, she was actually fighting for Judah's family and for the promise that God gave to the patriarch Abraham. Tamar saved Judah from the self-destructive downward spiral that he was in and reminded him of his role in God's plan of salvation for the world. Several years later, we see how Judah is willing to sacrifice himself to save his younger brother Benjamin. Judah has truly changed from what he had been earlier in the story, largely thanks to Tamar, who served as a wake-up call for him. Judah became a changed man, and through Tamar's children, Judah became the ancestor of the tribe of Judah and of the Jewish Messiah, Jesus. I mean, the Jewish people as a whole got their name from this Judah that we've been talking about today. Much later, Tamar is praised as a role model when Ruth gives birth to Obed in the book of Ruth. And both Tamar and Ruth were bold women who broke taboos of their time and thought outside the box. More than 1,000 years after this, Tamar's name appears again, this time in Jesus' genealogies in Matthew 1 and Luke 1. So what can we learn from this juicy story? Well, first of all, God cares about marginalized people. What Judah and his sons did to Tamar was not right, but the Lord saw her situation and punished Er and Onan and blessed Tamar's boldness in leading Judah to repentance. God let Tamar win in this situation, and she receives a vindication that should give hope to marginalized people even today. And secondly, we see that God uses broken people. Well, God may not have much choice since there are only broken people. But regardless of what you've done and what you've been subjected to or what kind of baggage you carry in life, God can use you as part of his great plan. And that's amazing.